Happy Wednesday, everyone. Welcome to the next of our coronavirus Facebook Live sessions. We are so grateful for and even humbled by the tremendous response we got to our broadcast last month. We had well over a couple of thousand views, and we are absolutely thrilled to be able to get these updates out to you and to those in your network. I am immigration attorney Shawn on behalf of CUNY Citizenship Now, the nation's leading university campus-based immigration law services provider. This session is sponsored by the Liberty Defense Project of the New York State Office of New Americans. Also want to acknowledge the New York City Council for the important funding that makes it all possible, for us to keep all of our immigration legal services free of charge. Before we begin, we need your help to continue to spread the word about our services. Please, won't you assist us with that by hitting the share button right now? We need everyone who is watching to do this. Again, if you hit your share button, we can make sure that we're getting this out to everyone in your network. Perhaps you know somebody who would benefit from our free legal services. As we mentioned last time, Citizenship Now has been going strong since quarantine started. We continue to help many dozens of immigrants weekly with their needs, with consultations and filing of new forms, with USCIS requests, with meeting information deadlines. And while we continue to offer our services remotely, we always accommodate our clients with consultations and services to meet the convenience and ability of our clients. Our attorneys are among the most dedicated in the industry, and we are present for the immigrant community now more than ever. If we can assist you, please give us a call. Here are our numbers. The phone number is 646-664-9400. You can also reach us by text at 929-334-3784, and also by email at citizenshipnowinfo@cuny.edu. Just want to say that if you call and we're not available, please leave a message and we will return your call within 24 hours. All right. We'll get to the immigration updates in a few minutes, but in today's session, we particularly want to address some questions that seem to be on a lot of people's minds right now. The first is, can I still apply for a green card? And you know what, there's been a lot of confusion about the moratorium on new green cards, and understandably, so we want to clear this up a bit today. How long do I have to wait for my swearing in for citizenship? We're getting that question a lot. You know, COVID-19 halted oath ceremonies, but things have started to recently open up. So there is hope for the thousands of people waiting to be sworn in. Another question we've been getting: I've lost my job because of COVID-19. Can I get a fee waiver to apply for citizenship? The quick answer is yes. We definitely want to talk to you about getting your citizenship and your USCIS fees waived while you can. More about this after the service updates. And finally, another question we've been getting, particularly from those who are undocumented: what are my rights if I want to join the Black Lives Matter protests? You know, this is a great question. We're so glad to hear this being asked, because the immigration consequences of being arrested at a protest can be severe. Again, we're going to answer all these questions today. And of course, we are taking your questions in the Q&A session after the updates. You can go ahead and enter your questions in the comments here. We'll try to get to as many as we can. You know, all of that after an update on Daca and the immigration service updates, okay? All right, again, here is our number. If you want to speak to us privately, remember, all of our services are at no cost. It is 646-664-9400, by text at 929-334-3784, and by email at citizenshipnowinfo@cuny.edu. All right, let's start today with DACA, perhaps no more important immigration issue right now. Within the next 2 weeks, maybe even next week, the Supreme Court will rule on the legality of ending DACA. And make no mistake, any decision to end it will be a cruel one with far-reaching consequences, not only for the 800,000 dreamers, but for our nation. Consider that some estimates put up to a quarter of them, nearly 200,000, on the front lines in the battles against COVID-19. CUNY's citizenship now stands with CUNY and the entire community of immigrant activists and providers in support of dreamers. We have helped hundreds of DACA recipients extend their status recently and are ready to assist students and all DACA recipients with their renewals in these last few days before the decision. We remain hopeful that if the court ends DACA, then any DACA status that is extended now will remain in effect until it expires. So if you're a DACA recipient, please contact us. We are prioritizing DACA over everything else right now, and we will find the funding for your renewal. There's so little time to get your renewal in. So, and even if you recently renewed, please call us to discuss your options. Again, 646-664-9400. Finally, we will go live on the air on the day of the Supreme Court's decision. So please watch out for a special announcement of our live information session that will take place in conjunction with CUNY and CUNY TV. Again, we are going to go live on the air the day of the Supreme Court decision, so keep an eye out for that. Okay. All right. Let's go on to the service updates and the phased reopening of the USCIS field offices. The New York field office of USCIS started a multi-phase reopening on June 15th, this past Monday. They're starting with the backlog of the thousands of new Americans waiting for their oath ceremonies, as I mentioned. They're taking a number of safety precautions very, very seriously. They're going to promote social distancing and offer the most safe environment possible. Therefore, unfortunately, no guests are being allowed to the oath ceremonies for the time being. All right, and the groups will be much smaller than usual, no more than 10 at a time in multiple locations within 26 Federal Plaza, instead of the hundreds that usually attend the ceremony. As to the other services, we understand at the start that only 20% of the New York USCIS staff will be working in the offices, with the other 80% continuing to work remotely. This is to ensure safety to all applicants and to the USCIS staff. So what this means practically is that resuming immigration interviews are going to take some time until there are barriers, social distancing markers, hand sanitizer, proper signs to keep everyone informed and safe. They're going to make sure that that's all in place before resuming interviews. So so those are still on hold. All right. So continued patience is needed for everyone still waiting for their appointments. All right. Now, for those that had appointments canceled due to COVID-19, they are sending out rescheduling notices. And when you get these, you should have at least 2 weeks notice of your appointment. Although we did recently learn about some instances, including naturalization for the oath ceremony, where USCIS is calling applicants if it's going to be shorter than 2 weeks. So you definitely want to keep an eye out, not only for your mail, but also your phone calls and voicemails in case they call you. All right. And for other applications filed during this whole COVID-19 period, USCIS is still getting through the backlog of those cases. So maybe you filed for naturalization or a marriage-based green card or some other green card while here in the United States. They are working on these, and yes, they are still accepting these applications. We understand there's a lot of confusion about the temporary 60-day ban on new green cards, but this does not apply to those applying for green cards while they're in the United States. Okay. If you are waiting for a biometrics appointment in conjunction with your application, should just be a little while longer. We expect USCIS to reopen the biometric centers sometime in July, including, we understand, protocols for safe fingerprinting. Okay. All right. If you completed your citizenship interview before we went into quarantine, and it's now over 120 days that you've been waiting for a decision from USCIS and you haven't received anything else from them, you can expect a decision shortly. They are working on these to get through the backlog. However, you should know that by law, USCIS has 120 days from your interview to give you their decision. And if they don't, you can request a judicial review of your case in federal court. However, we recommend first contacting your U.S. Congressman or Senator's office to request assistance in expediting your decision. Again, that goes for those that completed your citizenship interview before quarantine, and it's now been over 120 days. All right. So let's move on to medicals and the results of your medical exams. If you have been asked to get results of your medical exams to USCIS and have been unable to because of COVID-19, especially if you've been asked to deliver the exam results in person, you should mail them in according to USCIS, and be sure to include the officer's last name on the envelope with a copy of the USCIS request for the medical inside the envelope. They will make every effort to get it to the officer or examiner, okay? As to time-sensitive requests that you receive from USCIS, if you received one of these in response to COVID-19, USCIS has granted an automatic 60-day extension for all requests for evidence. This applies to requests, notices, decisions between March 1st and July 1st, 2020. If you have questions about the time limit you have to respond to these requests, you can call USCIS at 1-800-375-5283 and ask about your 60-day extension. As for emergency visits, the field offices in Manhattan, the USCIS's field offices in Manhattan, Brooklyn, Queens, and Long Island continue to take and accommodate emergency requests, such as needing a green card or I-551 stamp for people who need to travel urgently, or if you need to prove your residency status for purposes of filing unemployment benefits. You can schedule an emergency appointment with USCIS. Call their contact center. Again, the number is 800-375-5283. Of course, you can stay up to date on USCIS policy changes at www.uscis.gov/coronavirus. All right. So we're going to change topics here a little bit. We'd like to talk about those still stuck here in the United States, and you might be in danger of falling out of status. Although things are starting to open up in regions across the country, there are, of course, still travel limitations. So if you or someone you know or that are visiting are here on any non-immigrant visa that is about to expire, definitely need to take proactive steps to stay in that authorized period of stay. If you need to file for an extension of status, you can accomplish this by filing the I-539 application to extend status before your current authorized period expires. That is the key here. Make sure you also include proof of a good faith effort to leave. All right. You definitely want to log or document everything. All right. And you should be prepared to show USCIS your efforts to leave if questioned. Flight cancellations, home country conditions, travel restrictions, the fact maybe you fell ill or you had COVID-19 exposure. As long as you file your extension of status timely, meaning before it expires, you will not be considered unauthorized while your application is pending. USCIS has repeatedly told us that they will be generous and flexible with extension of status related to COVID-19, as long as they are legitimate and in good faith. Again, here's our number. We are pleased to assist you with this. Please give us a call, 646-664-9400, if you have any questions or need to file an extension of status, okay? All right. If you are here on the ESTA visa waiver program, Customs and Border Protection, CBP, has approved the vast majority of 30-day requests to stay, extensions of stay in a process called satisfactory departure. As long as the request from you is timely, meaning you're still within your visa period or visa waiver period, and you made some attempt to depart, you should be approved. CBP is still authorizing an additional 2 30-day periods of satisfactory departure, but please note, we don't know of any instances where they approved a third one. Doesn't mean they definitely won't, especially if there are extraordinary circumstances, but it does sound like CBP is expecting visitors on the ESTA program who have been granted 2 extension periods to return. 2 extension periods. They are expecting them to return, okay? If you want to apply for satisfactory departure, once again, these are handled by CBP at any CBP port of entry, usually located at or near international airports. In the New York area, that is JFK Airport. Travelers should bring with them their passport, and again, also be prepared to document your inability to depart the United States. Okay, and finally, you need to be aware of your deadlines. As I mentioned, that is the key, as because failure to depart or request satisfactory departure can result in losing privileges under the visa waiver program. Okay, all right. Now, for green card holders stuck abroad, if the circumstances force you to stay outside the U.S. for more than 180 days, you will not be turned around when you try to return. We are confident that USCIS and CBP will forgive and waive any adverse effect from your delayed return. However, you want to educate yourself about your options. Always keep a record of your effort to document your inability to return. Now, for example, the government of the country you're in has closed the airports, or there are so many flight cancellations that you could not return timely and safely. As long as your explanation and effort to return in good faith is in good faith, and you've maintained your ties to the United States, you should not have a problem returning, right? If you have a green card and are abroad and will, because of COVID-19, pass the 1-year mark away, and you don't have a reentry permit, you'll probably need to visit the U.S. Embassy or consulate nearest you and apply for a returning resident SB1 visa. Again, that's at the nearest U.S. Embassy or consulate for those that have passed the 1-year mark, for green card holders that have passed the 1-year mark without already a reentry permit. Finally, those with reentry permits that have expired or will expire, we expect CBP will handle those the same way. They've stated that if the airline questions them about letting you board with expired documents, CBP will ask the airlines to let them board. Okay. All right. Let's see what's happening with Department of State and consular processing updates. Let's talk about that. Like USCIS, the Department of State temporarily suspended routine visa services at all embassies and consulates because of COVID-19. That went into effect on March 20th. However, as resources allow, they continue to provide emergency and mission critical visa services, but these appointments seem to be reserved mostly for U.S. citizens dealing with lost or expired passports abroad. Unfortunately, this doesn't include applications for new immigrant visas, of course, which are suspended. until June 22nd under the executive order. Also, the Department of State has not identified what an emergency would be, assuming emergency appointments are also available to non-US citizens. But we hope and assume this would include severe illness or death of a family member. You can go ahead and access the latest information for each consular post that on the Department of State COVID-19 country-specific information page. Okay. Staying with the Department of State on passport services and getting your passport. All U.S. passport offices were closed for in-person services all this time. But as of this past Monday, the 15th, 14 passport agencies and centers started phase 1 of a 3-phase reopening. In New York, phase 1 actually began on June 11th. During phase 1, the passport offices are limiting passport appointments to customers who must travel internationally in the next 72 hours due to a life or death emergency. It's not going to be until phase 3, they tell us, that they will extend this out to those who must travel within 2 weeks, and no time frame, unfortunately, is yet provided when phase 3 will start. For all others seeking passport services, you can expect continued delays, but for all services, but they are processing requests on a first-come, first-served basis. So you definitely want to get in the queue with passport renewals and anything else you may need that's not tied to emergency travel. Okay, again, you can check travel.state.gov for ongoing updates about U.S. passport offices. Okay, we're going to switch gears here a little bit. We're getting a lot of inquiries about fee waivers from people who lost their jobs recently. If you lost your job or were furloughed because of COVID-19, yes, you can get your USCIS fees waived for many applications. If you've been impacted this way and need to file an immigration application, please contact us. We may be able to assist you with the fee waiver under the temporary hardship category. As long as you can demonstrate an inability to pay because of your job loss or temporary furlough, we should be able to help you. Another reason why this is the best time to apply for a fee waiver is there are strong indications that USCIS may be forced to end fee waivers and actually increase the fees later this year, maybe even by the end of the summer. So it's really going to be a double whammy: the end of fee waivers and increase of fees. If this happens, this will also impact those who still qualify for a fee waiver based on, getting public benefits like food stamps, Medicaid, Section 8 housing, cash assistance. If you fall into one of these categories, now is the time to call us to talk to us about your fee waivers. We want to assist you with your citizenship and green card renewal application now before the fees are increased and the fee waiver is eliminated. Okay. All right. Now, to the question of immigrants joining the Black Lives Matter protests, or really any civil protest, particularly if you're undocumented. As protests continue in the wake of the killings of George Floyd and Rayshard Brooks, it's understandable that many dreamers and undocumented supporters of Black Lives Matter are weighing whether you can safely join demonstrations. Yes, free speech and the right to peacefully assemble and protest is guaranteed by the First Amendment to all, not just citizens, but as I mentioned earlier, the immigration consequences of an arrest, if you're a dreamer or if you're undocumented, can be significant. As frustrating as it may seem or be, we do not recommend a person who is undocumented join these protests out on the street. You really should find another way to get your voice heard. So important that you understand that that when you protest on the street, you put yourself at risk of an arrest or deportation. But here's some advice if you decide to join the protests. First, we strongly recommend you contact an immigration attorney to discuss your particular status and review with them any past police interactions or arrests you may have before deciding to join the protests. Depending on where you live, you really also want to make sure that you understand how the police departments and the prosecutors where you are protesting work with immigration enforcement or ICE, because this varies greatly, even in relatively close proximities. For example, protests that may be safe or maybe safer for you in cities like, the 5 boroughs of New York City or in Los Angeles would be much riskier, say, in Long Island or in Orange County, California. Second, do not carry with you anything that identifies you as a foreign national. Don't carry your foreign passport. If you have a state ID, take that only and make sure your phone doesn't have anything in it that might incriminate you in any way. Third, remain alert and vigilant and do everything you can to avoid or walk away from anything that looks like trouble. Walking and standing peacefully with the crowd is one thing. Yelling and in particularly confronting police or even counter protesters is quite another. Okay. Fourth, if you are peacefully protesting and are approached by an ICE officer, you have the right to remain silent. The same as you do as if a police officer approaches you. Anything you say can be held against you. If they try to talk to you, even if it seems casual and not threatening, you should ask them, am I free to leave? If they say yes, when you ask them, am I free to leave? Then just quietly and calmly walk away. Don't run, don't do anything that may give them cause to stop you. But understand this, if they say no when you ask them, am I free to leave? You must cooperate with them. You do need to answer questions about who you are, but give them only your identifying information. You don't need to say anything else, including where you were born, where you're from, where you work, anything like that. Other than your identifying information, you should stay silent. Again, if they try to speak to you, after that, ask them again, am I free to leave? If they say no again, you should simply tell them that you would like to exercise your right to remain silent, okay, until you speak to an attorney, okay? Police and ICE often lie to get people to talk. That is their job, to get people to talk. So please remember, anything you can and say can and will be held against you. Also, if they tell you you're under arrest, you must not resist in any way. Also, you must not try to stop someone else from being arrested. It is illegal to do that. If you are a dreamer or undocumented with friends who are getting arrested or getting into trouble of any kind, do not hang around. Even if you feel you have to help your friends, please just walk away. Even if you aren't doing anything wrong, you can, and many people do, get swept up and arrested in groups just for being there. Although you are innocent, if you are undocumented, you are at significant risk of deportation if you get arrested. And again, if they do arrest you, you have the right to and absolutely must stay silent until you have spoken to an attorney. 6, if you are undocumented before you leave for the protest, make sure your family knows how to find you in case something happens and you get detained by ICE. There is a website to locate ICE detainees. That website is locator.ice.gov. That's locator.ice.gov. Finally, even green cards holders are not completely safe from the consequences of arrest, particularly if things get violent, right? Several crimes involving violence, particularly against police officers, can get green card holders deported. So if you are a green card holder, especially with prior arrests, we recommend you speak to an immigration attorney if you have any questions about joining the protests. Okay. All right. That took a lot longer than planned, but we have time, of course, for the Q&A. It's 3:30 now. We're going to go a little bit longer. We've got a number of questions. Let's start with first round of questions. How can I request a new work permit when I lost it? Okay, so to request a new work permit, please give us a call to set up an appointment. We can help you with Form I-765 to help you replace your lost work permit. That's the application, for work permits. Okay. All right. Next question. Daca. Daca is making a decision at the end of this month. Should Daca recipients reapply now? Yes, please contact us. Time is running out for this. We will prioritize you to try to get your Daca status extended as far as possible. Again, the number is 646-664-9400. All right. How long? Okay, I'm sorry. We answered that question, Daca. Oh, how long in advance can I apply for my permit renewal for Daca if it expires in the middle of December? Oh, you can apply right now. Please call us again to set up an appointment. I have voluntary, next question. I have voluntary departure, but I can't get a flight out because of COVID. Okay. For those with voluntary departure who can't get a flight out of because of COVID, please, please, please document your inability to get a flight out and every attempt you made. And if you have an attorney assisting you, and if you're in voluntary departure status, you really should have an attorney. Please speak to them as soon as possible if you have not. Is there a chance USCIS will use teleconferencing for citizenship interviews? No, and it seems so far that the in-person interview for citizenship is something USCIS was unwilling to change during COVID-19. So we expect that for the time being, they will not use teleconferencing now or anytime in the near future. Well, of course, if that changes, we'll keep everybody posted. All right. When can somebody asylum? I guess this question is when can an asylee, or if you've been granted asylum, apply for citizenship? You can apply for citizenship as an asylee 4 years after you receive your grant of asylum. Please don't be confused about the date on your green card. When you got your green card, you probably noticed that it was backdated for 1 year because 1 year of your time as an asylee counts towards your permanent residence. So you then only have to wait 4 more years from the grant of asylum to reach the standard 5-year period of eligibility. All right. So as a bonus, of course, you can apply 90 days early. So you can apply 3 years and 9 months from the date you were granted asylum. So we definitely want to assist you with your citizenship. Please give us a call when you're ready. Okay, some more questions. Okay, let me. I attended naturalization interview in January with my husband. My husband received note for his oath ceremony. I have not. Should I inquire with USCIS? Absolutely. If you have not received anything else asking for new information, you should probably inquire about your case status, particularly if your husband has received his note for his oath ceremony. Please give us a call. We can help you figure out the current status with USCIS on your case. Let's see now. Has there been a ruling as of yet for Daca recipients? No, that, as I mentioned earlier, we are expecting the Supreme Court to rule within the next 2 weeks, sometime, perhaps even next week. All right. Does USCIS still take applications for political asylum? Yes, they are. But as you probably heard, the Trump administration is taking very active and very aggressive steps to limit the number of people who can apply and get approved for political asylum. They are proposing a new rule that makes it very, very difficult for those from Central America to arrive in the U.S. and apply for political asylum. So we will. So yes, they are accepting applications. We recommend you please speak to an attorney and to understand all your rights and the current administration's take on who should be granted asylum and who can apply for asylum. Isn't it, we got a question, isn't it worse if you don't carry an ID when protesting? What I was suggesting earlier is that if you have a state ID, carry that. If you are undocumented and all you have is your foreign passport, then essentially you are announcing to ICE that you're undocumented, and I think it could be worse. Again, it is our recommendation would, we stand by our recommendation that it is very risky if you are undocumented or a dreamer to join the protest, and recommend that you find other ways to make your voice heard. All right. How can I get a visa for my mother if her green card expired 5 years ago? So if her green card expired 5 years ago, I assume that she, the question as stated is because your mother is back home. She can visit the consulate and try to get a returning resident visa, or speak to somebody at the U.S. consulate or embassy in her home country about her situation. All right. All right. I don't see any more questions right now. We thank you. That's all the time we have for today. Please follow this page, as I mentioned earlier, for updates on Daca, and joining us and join us on our upcoming live session in conjunction with CUNY and CUNY TV. The day the Daca decision is handed down by the Supreme Court. I wish everyone the best of health. Stay vigilant, stay strong. See you all very soon. Thank you.